Good evening, YouTube, BookTube. This is Johnny. That's who I am. I thought I'd make a video, even though I'm not sure exactly what this video will be about. Well, I have some kind of idea, but today is April the 16th. 2025. It is 6:25 in the evening here in Holland, Michigan, and as you all know, I'm alone here. My wife is out in Denver, Colorado, visiting our daughter Beth and her husband Andy, and they have 4 children. And we have 8 grandchildren. As you know, down the street is our oldest son. He has 2 little girls, and then our middle child, Josiah, married, and they have 2 girls. So that makes 8. Well, Bethany in Denver, there's Louisa, Margaret, Jack, and Nora Jean. So 7 granddaughters and 1 grandson. That's what Carol and I have. So she's down there, she's out in Denver visiting. It's Easter. And this coming Sunday is Resurrection Sunday. Good Friday is coming up, where I'm not really into national holidays, but I do recognize Resurrection Sunday, Easter, even though I don't go to church, but I do think upon this time of year because you have Easter, and even though you might not observe it, it's still a Christian day of remembrance. But anyway, so my wife's out there until next Monday. She comes back Monday night. Uber is going to bring her. My wife has Uber take her to the airport, and she calls Uber to bring her home. I don't like driving to Grand Rapids airport. I don't, and it's too expensive to leave the car there all week long at the airport parking lot. So she gets Uber. So yeah, so my wife is gone, and I'm at a loss what to do. That's why I thought about making a video. I thought, well, I'll just make a video. Years ago, as you know, I've been keeping a paper diary. And I started writing when I was like in the 11th or 12th grade, back in Richmond, California, the San Francisco Bay Area. That was back in the late 60s, early 70s. And as I've mentioned over the years in these videos, I didn't really start writing all the time until around 1974, 75. Now, you all know the old story that when I left California back in 1978 to go to Reformed Bible College, which is now Kuiper College in Grand Rapids, Michigan, I burned my diaries. You all know the story. But I started writing again as soon as I got here to Grand Rapids. And I've been writing ever since. I write every day, religiously. And reason why I bring that up is that I find as I get older, I've been doing, now my wife and I will, in May, this is April, next month, my wife and I will celebrate 46 years of being married. So I have written down in diary form the life, my married life, the life of raising our children and now our grandchildren. And I write, and you've seen my paper diaries and how I do it, and they're all stored down the lower level in boxes and bins by year. But I used to write in some ways because it was something to do and I didn't know what else to do. Like tonight, I don't know what else to do. So years ago, what I would do when I didn't know what to do, or I didn't feel like doing anything, I would write. And I find that I still write. No, I write every day. And today I've written 3.5 pages in my paper diary. And years ago, when I started writing on my online diary, Crooked Fingers, which has been going on 26 years, I have found as the years have gone by that I've been writing less and less and less. There's nothing new to say. There's nothing new to write about. And that's one thing I have come to realize as I've gotten older. As you know, that in May, I've been married, my wife and I have been married 46 years, and this coming August, I'll turn 73. And when you get my age, you've kind of written everything, and you've read everything, and you've pretty much done what you wanted to do in life, at least for me. Now, I know that there are people when they get my age and they're retired and they don't have any financial obligations. Their children are settled and doing okay. And now my wife and I, we don't have any elderly parents. My wife's mother died several years ago. Her father died a long time ago, about 20 years ago. And you know me, that my mother was killed by back in 1968 when she was driving home from work in a bar that she didn't stop for an ambulance, and she was hit and killed. And I was born out of wedlock. I never grew up with a father kind of figure. You all know the story of my mother, and divorced and stepfathers and all that. So the point is, we don't have any elderly parents who are like in hospice or they're in assisted living. Now, my wife has friends who have elderly parents in their 80s and 90s. And that takes a lot of work and time. So my wife and I were pretty much free of those kinds of things. And my wife does go visit our grandchildren in Denver. And she has gone out to Linden, Washington, where our son lives with his wife and 2 daughters. Now this summer, Josiah and Hannah and Marika and Lydia are coming here in August. Our middle child, Josiah, his birthday is on August the 3rd. Mine's August the 14th. So when they come, we'll celebrate birthdays. So the point is that when I don't have nothing to do, I used to write in my online diary, or when my wife was gone, I would write, or I would write in my paper diary, but I don't have anything to write anymore. So now I make videos. I'm making this video. I wasn't even sure I was going to film it and even post it, because it's just another ramble. It's just me trying to fill up some time with some kind of activity. Now, I don't mind. Now it's going on 6:35 in the evening. I haven't done nothing today. I thought about going someplace. It's the sun came out this afternoon. It's cold out, but it's sunny out. Now tomorrow morning, I need to go to a feed store and get crack corn for the birds and sunflower seeds for the bird feeder. So I'll do that in the morning. And I'll probably stop by at thrift stores and look at used books when I'm out driving around. Now, I have to get bird seed and I have to get cracked corn because we're going on empty. And the birds this time of year, they eat more because it's springtime. But I did want to show some books. I mentioned in my last video I was going to get a 2-volume set of a medieval spiritual classic. And I got it in the mail yesterday with UPS. I ordered this from a Catholic publisher, the same people who published the Dionysian, the Carthusian on the Psalms, that they published this translation of this very famous medieval spiritual classic. Now, this work that I'm going to show you is a 2-volume one. Now, Liturgical Press published the same thing back in, let me see, when the last volume came out. The last volume came out in, let's see here. I'm going blind here. Let me see, when did this one come out? This one came out and doesn't have a date on it. Thought they have a date. But anyway, Liturgical Press published a 4-volume translation of the same work. Now, when I read, I'm going to show this in a minute. This time is running out here. I'm going to look at the first volume. Maybe there's a date in here. No, there's no date when these were published. But I showed you these when I have read these 4 volumes. It came out in 2018. So this is the work, and I've shown these. I showed you this set. It's Ludolph of Saxony, or I call it Rudolph. I don't know. Ludolph of Saxony. I can't pronounce it, but it's called The Life of Jesus Christ. That's the English translation. It was, I think, published, written in Latin, and it's now when the Liturgical Press, which bought the Cistercian publications, this is Cistercian Study Series 267, Liturgical Press. They bought the Cistercian publications, which published and has reprinted were translations of medieval Cistercian monastic literature. And I knew about this series. I mean, I knew about this medieval classic because even though it was written like in the 14th century, he was a Carthusian, that it's very famous devotional spiritual classic. And I knew about it because St. John of the Cross read it, St. Teresa of Avila read it. It's been read by Christians for centuries. So when I got it, I read it over a period of a couple of years. And I showed the videos of me reading through these. You know, I get up in the morning and I grab it and I read it. It's a life of Jesus Christ. It's going through the life of Jesus Christ. His birth, his life, his miracles, his sermons, the parables, Sermon on the Mount, his crucifixion, his resurrection, his ascension, all the whole life of Christ from his time being born in a manger with Joseph and Mary up until the time that he was crucified. And it looks at the gospel accounts. And he goes really into depth. Now, when I was wondering what is the difference from this is the one I got in the mail from, and it's a 2-volume one. See the difference? This is about 1,000 pages. This is about 3,000, maybe more pages. See, you have this one, and then you have this one. So I was wondering what is the difference. So when I read on their website, Arcadia Press, what was the difference between this one and this one? And they sent me a little email and they explained the difference. And I still didn't really understand it. You know, what is the difference between this translation of the life of Jesus Christ by Ludolph of Saxony, and he's called Ludolph the Carthusian. He was a Carthusian. So I found out, you know, I don't know any foreign languages, and I'm not access to a seminary or a Catholic university library to do research on this work. There are books, but there are in special libraries. But I did find something online today, and there's very little online about this work that I have access to. But I did find something, and someone, her name is Emily A. Ransom, Holy Cross College, Notre Dame. She looked at the printing of this work from 1470 to 1660. It was like she was doing a research project on the printing of this book. What was the history of the printing of this book, this treatise on the life of Christ by Ludolph of the Carthusian. And I found out from this little thing, it was like 5 or 6 pages, that between 1470 and 1660, there was published 241 editions. And she lists all the places that these translations or these manuscripts are found throughout Europe. Some were in Dutch, some were in Latin, French, Spanish, Italian, German, Catalan, and Portuguese. So it was translated into different languages: Latin, Portuguese, French, Spanish, Dutch, Italian, and Catalan and German. And she lists all the places in Europe where these manuscripts can be found. So the point of this whole, from my assumption and my guess, is that they both use different translations or different manuscripts. Now, I was reading the first volume today, and it's pretty much the same spiritual atmosphere or spiritual taste or spiritual perspective as this one. It's hard to, I can't, due to time limit, I can't tell you what the difference between these two are in summary form. But this is called a reader's edition. And it is. Now, from what I read, this is more easy accessible to read. Now, I was super blessed in reading this over the years when I read it. I would say it was a very pivotal time in my own spiritual life, in my own walk with God. I was super blessed and forever changed by reading this. And that's why immediately when I saw that they are publishing this one translation, I immediately bought it, because it was such a rich blessing to me that I wanted to read another translation, or I just wanted it in my library and to compare them both. So I think that's what it is. There were 241 manuscripts of this work, the VITA CHRISTI. See, it's called and she lists here, it's all online, how many throughout from 1470 to 1660. The high point of it was like in the I can't read me a second. The 1530s. Anyway, it's all online, and I think that's what the difference is. Now, they're both worth having. I would get both of them if you're really into medieval Christian spirituality, especially in the history of biblical interpretation, because what it is, it's an encyclopedia of patristics. Because when they would do a work like this, the life of Christ, he quotes Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, he quotes Ambrose, he quotes Augustine, he quotes the Church Fathers. It's like, and it's very and it's written to contemplate and to meditate and to focus intensely on the life of Christ, to imitate his life, to so look at what Scripture, go through the Gospels, the life of Christ, and look intensely at all these different scenes in the life of Christ, and to meditate upon them, and then to imitate and to be transformed by looking at Christ in his life. So that's why, so I look forward, so this Holy Week, that's what I'm going to do when I'm sitting here by myself inside this house and I'm alone and I don't know what to do and I can't write because I've written everything, and I've just been reading this all day long and really being blessed, and just sitting here reading the life of Christ. Now, I could read portions of it, but I've already spoken for 23 minutes. As you know, this camera turns off in 30 minutes. But I just want to alert you to the fact that maybe you can't get into this massive edition of the life of Jesus Christ. You can also buy this 2-volume one, which I think is worth buying. Now, as you know, yesterday I went and got a haircut and got my beard trimmed. That was $35. Each volume is $35, so it's $70 plus postage. So the cost of 2 haircuts, you can get this. And I think it's really a deal. I mean, most books today cost you $25, $30. And this is the book that you can read your whole life. You can read it every single day. You can read it on Holy Week. You can read it during the time when we celebrate the Pentecost, the ascension of Christ. And so I do recommend it. It's from this press, just came out. It's cost me $77, and it's really worth it. But if you want to buy, this is still available, Liturgical Press. And I've shown these 4 volumes because when I was reading through them, I think I made a video talking about them. But this is what I got yesterday, this 2-volume one. And it has different print. If you look at the print, it's different. And you look at this print, it's bigger. And it has more, it's more scholarly, it's more exhaustive, and I really was blessed in reading this. So I would get both of them if you can. But if you want just a reader's edition, you can get this one. It just is, I think, from what I've read today and yesterday, I'm really pleased with it, and I recommend it. So that's what I'm doing. Like I said, I don't know what to do today. I've been wandering the house, and I don't feel like doing yard work. I could go out and work on my flower garden, my wildflower garden, but I'm going to do that towards the end of April. First week of May, I think, is when I'm supposed to plant my wildflower seeds. And I don't watch TV. I don't. Now tonight there's a nature show on PBS, which is public broadcasting station. I like nature shows. And I go to bed. You know, I read at night, and I've been reading these books and just trying to stay focused on what is eternal. So I just thought I'd show you what I got in the mail, these 2 volumes yesterday. So I hope you're having a good Wednesday and having a good Holy Week. And thank you for the comments. And yeah, you get my age, there's not much to talk about, and not much. I'm just trying to keep my mind on those things that are above. That's all you can do. It's like you have just a very short period of time on this earth, and that I know that one day when I die, that I'll see Jesus face to face. I mean, that's what the scripture says. I mean, when we look in the Bible, that's the blessed hope, is seeing Christ face to face. And so that's why I try to keep it in. That's why I try to keep in my perspective as I go through my days here on this earth. I try to just keep my eyes focused on those things that are above. It says in 1 John chapter 3, I'll close, "Behold, what manner of love the Father has bestowed on us, that we should be called the children of God. Therefore the world does not know us, because we did not know him. Beloved, now we are the children of God, and it has not yet been revealed what we shall be. But we know that when he is revealed, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. And everyone who has this hope in him purifies himself, just as he is pure." The Apostle John says in 1 John chapter 3, verse 2, "But we know that when he is revealed, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is." So I hope you're having a blessed Holy Week. May the Lord bless. Until next time, bye.